how I found out my best friend had been stealing from my bank account for 2 years. Hey Reddit, never thought I'd be writing something like this, but I need to get this off my chest. What happened 2 months ago completely turned my life upside down, and I still can't believe it. My name is Max, I'm 28 years old, and I work as a programmer at a Kyiv IT company. I live alone in a small one-bedroom apartment that I've been renting for 3 years now. I've always been a pretty trusting person, maybe too trusting, as it turned out later. My best friend Alex, we've known each other since school, been friends for over 10 years. He works as a manager at a trading company, but always complained about his low salary. I often supported him when he had financial troubles, lent him money, treated him at restaurants, sometimes even paid his share for joint trips. For me, it was normal. That's what friends do, right? A year ago, Alex moved in with me for 2 weeks after breaking up with his girlfriend. I gave him keys to the apartment so he could come and go as he pleased. He quickly found a new place, but the keys stayed with him, just in case, as he said. I didn't see any problem with that. It all started with little things that I didn't pay attention to at first. Somewhere around January this year, I noticed that money on my card was running out faster than usual. At first, I thought I was just spending more. New Year, holidays, maybe products were getting more expensive. In February, the situation repeated. I started monitoring my expenses more carefully, even created an Excel spreadsheet where I recorded all purchases, but the numbers didn't add up. About 3,000 to 4,000 hryvnias were missing each month. Not critical, but strange. I contacted the bank asking for a detailed statement for the last 6 months. What I saw made me go cold. Every month, money was being withdrawn from my account at ATMs located in areas where I'd never been. The amounts were small, from 500 to 1,500 hryvnias at a time, but regular. My first instinct was to blame the bank or think about some hackers. I immediately changed my PIN code and ordered a new card. But deep inside, a terrible suspicion was already forming. The next 2 weeks, I lived like a paranoid, constantly checking my card balance, keeping cash at home, afraid to use ATMs. The new card arrived a week later, and I thought with relief that the problem was solved. But 3 days after I got the new card, money disappeared again. 800 hryvnias at an ATM near Dodojichi metro station. I had never been there. That's when it hit me. Who else could know my PIN codes? Who had access to my apartment where I sometimes left cards? Who knew my habits and could peek when I was entering the code? Alex.
This thought hit me like a lightning bolt. My hands started shaking, my throat went dry. It can't be. We're friends. He couldn't have. But the facts spoke for themselves. I started remembering little things. How Alex sometimes showed up at my place without warning when I wasn't home. How he was always interested in my finances, salary, savings. How he asked to borrow my card for a minute to pay at a store when he didn't have cash. I decided to set a trap, put a new card with a small amount of money in my wallet and left it in a visible place. Set up a hidden camera in the room, bought an old webcam on OLX and connected it to an old laptop. On Wednesday, I told Alex I was going on a business trip for 2 days. Actually, I rented a hotel room in another part of the city and waited. On Thursday, at 2:30 p.m., I received an SMS about 1,200 hryvnias being withdrawn from my card. My heart started beating like crazy. My hands were shaking when I opened the banking app. ATM on Mezhihirska Street, a 5-minute walk from my apartment. I came home and watched the camera recording. What I saw will be etched in my memory forever. At 2:15 p.m., Alex entered my apartment with his keys. He behaved absolutely naturally, as if it was his home. Went straight to the dresser, took the wallet, pulled out the card. Didn't even hurry, stood there calmly looking through other cards, counting cash, then put the wallet back in place and left. I sat in that hotel room and cried. Cried from anger, from pain, from the feeling of betrayal. 10 years of friendship, 10 years of trust, and he was just using me like an ATM. The next day I came home and started planning the conversation. I wanted to give him a chance to confess himself. I called and invited him to dinner at our favorite cafe. Alex came in a good mood, telling some funny stories from work. I could barely restrain myself from yelling at him right there at the table. "Alex, I have money problems," I began. "Someone's been stealing from my card for several months." His face didn't change. He even expressed sympathy. "That's terrible, buddy. You should go to the police. Want me to help?" That was the last straw. I pulled out my phone and showed him a screenshot from the camera where he's standing with my wallet in his hands. I'll never forget the expression on his face at that moment. First shock, then fear, then some weird mixture of guilt and anger. "Max, I can explain everything." "Explain what? How you stole money from me for 2 years? How you used my trust?" People in the cafe started looking around. Alex went pale as a sheet. I needed money. I have debts. I wanted to pay it back, but what? But it was better to steal from your best friend?"
The conversation turned into a nightmare. Alex tried to justify himself, talked about financial problems, about how he didn't want to upset me with direct requests for loans. I sat and listened to these pathetic excuses, feeling how the image of a person I trusted more than anyone was finally crumbling. When I got home, I sat down and calculated the total losses. I ordered statements for 2 years and analyzed every suspicious transaction. The amount shocked me, almost 85,000 hryvnias. For 2 years, Alex had systematically stolen money from me, using my cards. The worst thing was realizing that he wasn't doing this out of desperation, but methodically. Never took large amounts so as not to attract attention. Always withdrew cash in different places so as not to create suspicious patterns. This wasn't a spontaneous decision, it was a thought-out scheme. I remembered all those times when he complained about financial problems, when I sympathized with him and even gave him additional money. It turns out he was simultaneously stealing much larger amounts from me. I contacted a lawyer. He explained that I had all grounds to file a police report. Theft, use of someone else's banking funds. There was enough evidence, camera recordings, bank statements, ATM records. But I hesitated. On one hand, I wanted justice. On the other hand, this was my best friend. Filing a lawsuit would mean destroying his life. A criminal case, possible imprisonment. Alex called every day, asked to meet, promised to return all the money. I didn't answer calls for a week, then finally met with him. He brought a receipt for the full amount and a plan to return the money within a year. He begged me not to go to the police, said it would destroy his career and life. I gave him a chance, set conditions, return the full amount within 10 months, official receipt, and never appear in my life again. If he violated any of these conditions, straight to the police. I took back the apartment keys from him, changed the locks, blocked him on all social networks. The hardest part was explaining to mutual friends why we weren't talking anymore. I didn't want to tell everyone about the situation, so I just said we had serious disagreements. Some friends tried to reconcile us, not understanding the scale of the betrayal. 2 months have passed. Alex is paying back the money according to the plan, so far without delays. But trust will never return. I've become a different person. I no longer give anyone keys to my apartment. I carefully monitor banking operations. I don't trust people as easily as before. The most painful thing is realizing that 10 years of friendship turned out to be an illusion. How many of our memories were real? Did he really care about me, or was he just maintaining the image of a good friend to keep access to my finances? Sometimes I regret not filing a lawsuit. Maybe he's doing the same thing to other people. Maybe my humanism allows him to continue using other people's trust.
But on the other hand, I was able to keep my conscience clear. I gave a person a chance to make things right without completely destroying their life. This story taught me several painful but important things. Trust is the most valuable thing you can lose, and the hardest to restore. People are capable of things you'd never expect from them, even the closest ones. Financial security isn't paranoia, it's a necessity. Never give anyone full access to your funds, even best friends. Sometimes kindness can turn against you,
but that's not a reason to become evil or distrustful of everyone. Now I'm building new friendships, but with a different understanding of boundaries and responsibility. I haven't become a stubborn introvert, but I've learned to better understand people. My former best friend became a stranger who transfers money to me monthly. It's a strange feeling, receiving bank notifications about incoming funds from a person I once considered a brother. I don't know if I did the right thing by not filing a lawsuit. Time will tell, but I live with this decision and don't regret it so far. Thanks for reading to the end. Sometimes you just need to speak out, even to strangers on the internet. If anyone has similar experience, please share. I'm curious to hear how other people deal with such situations. The psychological impact of this betrayal goes far deeper than just the financial loss. I found myself questioning every interaction we ever had, every moment of what I thought was genuine friendship. Was he calculating potential opportunities to access my money when he hugged me goodbye? When he complimented my new apartment, was he actually assessing what valuables I had? These thoughts consume me at night sometimes. I've started therapy to deal with the trust issues this created. My therapist says it's normal to feel this level of betrayal when someone so close violates your trust in such a systematic way. She's helping me work through the anger and the self-blame. Yes, I blame myself too, for being too trusting, for not seeing the signs earlier, for enabling his behavior by always helping him financially. The ripple effects have touched other relationships too. I find myself being suspicious of friends when they show interest in my financial situation or ask to borrow small amounts. Last week, my colleague asked if he could borrow $20 for lunch, and I immediately felt that familiar knot in my stomach. I gave him the money, but spent the rest of the day wondering if I was being naive again. My family doesn't know the full story yet. I told my parents that Alex and I had a falling out, but I haven't explained why. I'm not sure I want them to know. They always liked him, and I think it would genuinely shock them. Plus, I don't want to deal with the inevitable "I told you so" conversations, or their worry about my judgment.
The practical changes I've made go beyond just changing locks and monitoring bank statements. I've restructured my entire financial life. I now have multiple bank accounts with different purposes. I keep my main savings in an account that requires in-person verification for withdrawals. I've set up alerts for every transaction, no matter how small. I even bought a small safe for important documents and backup cards. Some might say I've become paranoid, but I prefer to think of it as educated caution. The peace of mind is worth the extra effort. What surprises me most is how this experience has affected my view of human nature in general. I used to be the kind of person who believed that people are fundamentally good, that most bad behavior comes from desperation or misunderstanding. Now I realize that some people are simply capable of sustained deception, even toward those who care about them most. This isn't to say I've become cynical about everyone. I still believe in friendship and trust. I'm just much more careful about how I extend it. I've learned that trust should be earned gradually, not given freely. Real friends respect boundaries. They don't push for access to your private spaces or financial information. The hardest part about the whole situation is the loneliness that followed. Alex wasn't just my best friend. He was my primary social connection. We had the same friend group, went to the same places, shared the same interests. When I cut him out of my life, I lost access to a lot of social situations. Some mutual friends have chosen sides, and unfortunately, not all of them chose mine. A few people think I'm overreacting, that friends should forgive each other and work things out. But they don't understand the calculated nature of what he did. This wasn't a moment of weakness or a single bad decision. This was a sustained campaign of theft that required planning, deception, and a complete disregard for my well-being. Every time he took money, he made a conscious choice to betray me. Every time he complained about his financial situation while I worried about his welfare, he was manipulating me. I've thought about what I would do if he stopped making payments. The honest answer is that I'm not sure. Part of me hopes he'll follow through with his promise, not because I need the money desperately, but because it would show some remnant of conscience. But if he stops paying, will I actually follow through with my threat to involve the police? The thought of testifying against someone who was once like a brother to me still makes me feel sick. Sometimes I wonder if other people in his life know what kind of person he really is. Does his family know? His new girlfriend? His coworkers? Or am I the only one who's seen this side of him? The thought that he might be presenting himself as the victim in all this, that he might be telling people I'm being unreasonable or cruel, makes my blood boil.
But then I remember that his opinion of me and others' opinions based on his lies don't actually matter. I know the truth. I have the evidence. I made the decision I could live with, and that's what counts. This experience has taught me that healing from betrayal isn't just about getting past the anger. It's about rebuilding your ability to trust yourself. For months, I second-guessed every instinct, every judgment call. If I could be so wrong about someone I knew for 10 years, how could I trust my judgment about anyone? The answer I'm learning is that you can't let one person's betrayal poison every other relationship. Yes, I need to be more careful. Yes, I need better boundaries. But I can't let Alex's actions turn me into someone who's incapable of forming genuine connections with others. Moving forward, I'm trying to focus on the positive lessons from this experience. I'm better at recognizing red flags in relationships. I'm more assertive about my boundaries. I value the friendships I do have even more because I understand how precious real trust is. And perhaps most importantly, I've learned that I'm stronger than I thought. I survived the betrayal, confronted a difficult situation, and made hard choices while still maintaining my integrity. The monthly payments continued to arrive. Each notification is a reminder of what happened, but also a reminder that I chose compassion over revenge, healing over hatred. I don't know if that makes me wise or foolish, but it makes me someone I can respect when I look in the mirror. Recovery from this kind of betrayal is an ongoing process. Some days are better than others, but I'm building a new life with better boundaries, deeper self-awareness, and a more realistic understanding of human nature. In a strange way, as painful as this experience was, it's made me a more complete person. I hope my story helps someone else who might be going through something similar. Trust your instincts, protect yourself, and remember that choosing to heal doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. Thanks for watching. Have you ever had someone close to you betray your trust in a way you never expected? How did you deal with it? And would you give them a second chance? Share your thoughts below. Your story might help someone who's going through the same.